At Gasworks Park in Seattle, and we are live, and I want to kind of explain to you, and then I'm going to do a little bit of a walk down. This will probably be a shortest stream. Things could get interesting here in another hour or two at this point. So let me give you the background here. A Christian organization was planning to have a large Christian concert / worship service here at Gasworks Park. This was going to be a unpermitted event. In other words, no permit with the city. The last time the same organization came, they came on August 10th. They had the event at Cal Anderson Park in Seattle. Cal Anderson Park, of course, is closed. And the city of Seattle and police and the Parks Department have been making a lot of point about that park is closed. Gasworks Park has been closed. They closed the park last night, and the city has actually taken a pretty substantial effort at shutting Gasworks Park down, and I'm going to walk around what they've done. So they've put up this temporary fence. I'll show you what else they've done. There are multiple Park Service vehicles that are here, and there is a growing number of people affiliated with this event that are showing up here. The fundamental issue is that the leaders of this event are basically borderline C disease desiers, no masks, and we're at the start of school season here in Seattle, and we're 4 to 8 weeks out from the start of flu season. And so the view was this was a public health emergency. Now, admittedly, we at Malkatembe Tango have been hammering the Seattle Parks Department, asking them the question of, would they enforce even rules? In other words, if you're sitting there right now and going, how dare they do this? They don't need a permit. And then in your next breath you go, but those protesters need a permit. Then your view is biased or you don't get it. So if the activity that's been going on specific around Cal Anderson Park with community outreach and helping the unhomed, aka the homeless there, and the whack-a-mole that's been going on there, because the park is closed, you can't see me doing air quotes, but that the park is closed, to then allow this event to go forward because, well, it doesn't matter that the park is closed. I think anybody who thinks objectively can go, okay, I see a problem there. So what has Seattle Parks done? There are multiple rangers here. The guy actually went and I talked to this dude in this vehicle over here a little bit, and this guy has just had a steady line of people that have been coming up and talking to him. And I will say he's being super patient. I'm going to give credit where credit is due. There are ecology blocks. I know, if you're not from Seattle, if you haven't watched streams before and you're going, that's not an ecology block, that's like a 4,000-pound piece of concrete with rebar in it. In politically correct Seattle, we call this an ecology block. Someone can explain it in the comments. If you know why they're called ecology blocks, I would love to know. Because I'm like, I don't see what's ecological about the damn thing anyway. There are a couple of things that have been changed. And then this temporary fence, which is basically identical to the fence that's at Cal Anderson Park around the shelter house, with the same bolting, has been placed around the parking area and all the public areas. Now, a couple of people did slip through the fence right before I went on air. The ranger adjusted the fence, and that is a park ranger, city park ranger in that vehicle back there. He adjusted the fence and moved his vehicle up to kind of make it clear that, hey, we're here watching this. So hopefully the Christians that I'm going to be coming up to are being very Christian, and I'm not going to get a bunch of rah when I go by and film me. The number of people that are down here remains small. Things were supposed to start around 3 o'clock. However, the number of people that have accumulated here have grown since I arrived and walked down the other way. There are other people that are here that just haven't gathered right up along the gate like the people have here. We will go and see if we can interview some of them, but I want to just kind of continue to walk down and show you that, again, the park has been completely fenced off. There is another ecology block that's here that is, and chains and locks to block access to the parking lot. The people that walked through the fence were walking out of the park, and one of them had an empty bottle of wine with them. They just look like your typical middle-class suburban peeps who probably actually, they totally look like your typical suburban middle-class peeps or urban middle-class peeps that probably had absolutely no clue on what was going on here today, and we're just like, let's go to Gasworks. That's what they totally looked like. No idea who that individual is. And then if I walk down here to the other side, at this point, just a fence, no ecology blocks. But there is another Park Service vehicle right here. And this little thing here is just a little turnout with a drop box for ballots. Because Washington State is mail-in ballot only, but they have drop boxes. What's interesting in Washington State on the ballots, you get a little tear tab at the top, and you can actually track your ballot online and make sure it got counted, and make sure who you voted for is actually what got tallied. The ballots come postage paid. Originally you had to pay for postage. Nobody's wearing masks here, and no one there is practicing any, hey, this is, my little tribe, so to speak. I'm staying in my group. Like, there is zero masks. So if I'm going to talk to anybody, I'm going to talk to them upwind, and I'm going to talk to them 6 feet away. Honking is nothing related to what's going on here. There was just an individual backing up their car, and somebody was like, hey, I'm behind you, don't back into me. That's all the honking was about. Devin right now, he's going to pass out some resources. Great way, because when people are getting sick, have them scan this code. It's going to take them to a bunch of discipleship resources. They can learn about baptism, forgiveness. Go ahead and have them. So the main event actually isn't supposed to start here until 6 p.m. So what we have going on right now, because what is it, about 3:30? Yeah, it's almost 3:30. The setup was supposed to start, when I say the setup, I mean the setting up within the park. The setup was supposed to start around 3 o'clock. So you have some people here that are early arrival for that. And there continues to be people that are trickling in to this group. And now here is another individual. That has come through.
Jesus is Lord.
And I'll be very curious what this person is going to say to the group.
Was Scott there? Okay. Yeah. Vancouver, Washington. So basically going to hit the streets now, and then just staying updated on Sean's Facebook, just for details regarding how it's going down.
Yeah, no, we've been watching it today. Is he intending to try to set up an authority?
I believe that's his direction right now.
Off with the fences.
So yes, I mean, stay updated, man. Yeah, it's kind of flexible right now, so he's gonna figure it out. And then,
Yeah, that's the guy from.
You still got your key to get this inside. Hi.
Hi. So, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good. Could you tell me what's going on?
Well, looks like they blocked out the park, didn't they?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, it does.
But you're on the other side.
I am. Yeah. A lot of other people are in here meeting peacefully. I don't know why they would block it off for some and not for all, right?
Well, how did those people get in?
I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know. Maybe they just walked in.
Before the blocking
Maybe they
started.
just walked in.
well, I think the blocking happened last night, is what I understand.
Oh,
My understanding is the fence
I
went up.
wasn't here last night, so I don't know.
I guess, you know,
they had
First
closed the
Amendment
park
rights
last night.
allow us, right, to meet peacefully in parks that we pay for with our city dollars. So that's great that some people are in here already doing that, I think. Yeah.
So
And
what?
hopefully the rest of us can come in too. Yeah, God's children can come on in. That's what we're hoping. At any rate.
What about for other people that have peaceably assembled in parks and are not being allowed to? What do you say about that? That's been happening
wonder,
here in Seattle.
I wonder about that, right? I wonder why.
What's his question?
He's saying that other people haven't been allowed to peacefully assemble in parks.
Like,
I mean, I've
people
seen
inside assembling
yeah,
peacefully,
there
right?
really are. And
Well,
there
she
are
was-
a
but
lot
she
of
was-
other
but-
parks that have people have been allowed to do that or protest or riot, and it hasn't been stopped. So I'm not sure why they would be trying to stop this.
So what do you say to the people that are doing ministry and outreach at Cal Anderson Park, specifically ministering to the homeless, that are providing food, clothing,
Say that's
right?
wonderful,
But the police keep coming in and chasing the people out that are doing that.
Well,
They have
I
since
wonder
fenced
what
up the sheltered
exactly
house.
you're talking about on that one, though.
Well, what do you mean you're wondering? Because we've covered that extensively, daytime and
So
nighttime.
The police are trying to stop people from helping people? you
That is
say?
correct.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Let's talk to the police.
Yeah.
Let's talk to the police about
You
that
wouldn't
one.
be for that.
Right.
You would love that. That's who you are, right?
Well, I'm wondering what your opinion on it is, because you talked about First Amendment rights. So isn't there a fundamental First Amendment right to minister to the unhomed?
I agree that we have a fundamental First Amendment right, absolutely,
To minister to the unhomed.
that we should minister to the unhomed. Absolutely, absolutely, yeah, no doubt about that.
Well, you know what, Catherine? Even if there was no governmental mandate for ministering to those who don't have homes, there is a God mandate for it. So
Very, very
that's
true.
where we are, right?
Yeah, very,
we want to
very
take
true.
care of the homeless.
Very true. That is who we are.
So are you all from Seattle, or?
From all over the place.
Okay, well, she says all over the place. You say so.
All over Seattle.
Got it. Okay, I just
So
wanted to clarify.
Like Seattle suburbs and Seattle.
So, King County and Seattle spend $1 billion a year, roughly, on homelessness. That comes out to about $85,000 per homeless person per year. Do you think that that Seattle has been effective and a good steward, and King County has been effective and a good steward with all that money?
Well, since I don't know exactly how Seattle and King County distributes their money, I can't answer to that. But for 13 years, I ran a small nonprofit that helped with that.
Okay.
And all I can speak to is that we did do a good job with the resources we had. It's
Why
kind
did
of
you-
hard to speak for someone when you're not part of the people who are sitting at the table making decisions. But I would say that is a considerable amount of money, and I would hope that they would be using it for that purpose solely and wisely.
Do you feel Seattle has a homeless problem?
I feel there are homeless people everywhere, including where I live now.
I understand, but would you say that there is an
I would
unaddressed
say-
homeless problem in Seattle?
I would say anytime there is somebody who doesn't have a home to live, that's a problem. Now, if that's here in Seattle, yes, sir. If it's in Everett, yes, sir. Wherever people don't have a place to live, there's a problem.
So what do you think could be done to address that? You said that you were with a nonprofit for 13 years that did that. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Pardon me?
Could you tell us a little bit more about that and the outreach and ministry you did?
My work specifically was with homeless women and children.
Wonderful.
I worked with women who lived on the streets, women who were in shelters. Some of them were women who were drug addicts. We worked on providing homes for them for rehabilitation services. But I will say this. I do believe that it needs to be a holistic problem.
Okay.
We can't just throw money at people and their problems. We have to figure out who individuals are.
Yep.
And then we have to wisely assess their situation. After we assess their situation, we have to provide the services. So I am not an advocate for dumping money somewhere, but not dealing with an underlying problem. So that's where I come from.
What do you think of the three underlying problems?
Well,
As somebody, again, if somebody was 13 years in the trenches
okay,
in this.
so with my experience, the three underlying problems. One, addiction. Addiction was huge. Two, mental illness. I saw a lot of people who were not mentally able to decide what to do with their lives, making decisions that led to homelessness.
Okay.
And then I think the third one for me, and this was just with my experience, were people who did not want accountability. They didn't want to follow the rules, so they were living outside of the rules.
Sure.
And that then caused homelessness. No matter who those people are, from my perspective, compassion comes. We sit down with people at the table. We determine what their issues are. And from there, we start looking at individual problems. There is no Band-Aid problem for homelessness. Throwing money at it won't solve it. We have to figure out what is causing people to be homeless. And there's a fourth one. People lose resources. You lose your job. You can't find another job. And all of a sudden, what do you do about that?
Sure.
Okay, so these are the things that I saw in my 13 years of work.
What do you say to the people? Because you know there's a certain subset of people that say, just go get a job. It's easy to get a job, right?
Oh.
And then the counter argument is, if you're unhomed, once you become homeless, it becomes really hard to get a job. Because you don't have an address, you don't have a phone number, you don't have access to the internet, you have no way to shower, you have no way to keep your clothes clean. So,
okay, so I've heard both of those arguments.
Sure.
Right? So, I can only speak to what I knew to be situations and who I talked to. We come across a person who doesn't have a job, and I'm not doing this. I've been 6 years away from this.
got it?
My job then, as somebody as a service provider, is to first offer compassion, to figure out what we need to do. And once we do that, to act on that. But I don't say, go get a job. I'm looking at what we need to do to help you find a job, what we need to do to get you stable. And sometimes that's really hard. Shelters get full. What can we do then?
Right.
We used to meet with women at public libraries in different places. We used to find people who were who would temporarily shelter a mom and her kids.
Sure.
So that she was off the street and safe. And then we would start looking for a job. So I don't think you can say, go find a job, just like that. You don't know what a person's situation is. At the same time, I don't think you just dump every resource you have.
Right.
Either, right? I say you find the people who the resources, they really want to get better. They really want help. They're motivated for help. If someone says, I just want to go live over here in the park, because there are those people that has no rules. I want to do life my way. Those people, I say, okay, let us know when you really want solutions. You don't dump money into that. So, I mean, that's just my perspective.
Understand.
It is from my experience. I had
And I
a great
respect
deal of
you,
respect.
and I respect your 13 years of experience. That's why we're having this conversation.
I had a great deal of success, but I also had those where you come to a place in the road and they just don't want to make the change and they stay homeless. Okay, that's what I have termed over my years as lifestyle homelessness. It's not something that you have to do. It's something you're choosing to do because there's a greater payoff in it for you. So that's just my opinion. You have my 12 years experience, 12 and a half, almost 13. You can do whatever you like with it.
Well, what I love about this conversation is we actually agree about a lot. So
Okay, well, good.
I thank you so much. Could you mind saying your name? You can just say your first name if
My
you
name
want.
is Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, it was wonderful chatting with
Nice
you.
to talk with you, too.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
And whatever happens today is
Yeah,
whatever
we'll see.
happens for y'all. Okay, thank you. I think it was a great conversation, don't you? And I actually do agree with probably 90% of what she just said. Which is one of the reasons why I love these conversations, because I wish there was more commonality on these things. Hey, the mainstream media is here. So what's going on at this point is, as I was talking, the one woman on the other side of the fence walked away. Several other people, piece of looked like cottonwood or something. Rest of the other group kind of walked away. We were talking with Elizabeth. It was a great conversation with Elizabeth, and agreeing on a lot of things. But at the end of the day, the park is closed. Elizabeth is saying there's people in the park. Of course, what we don't know is, are those people in the park that are part of the religious affiliation, or is that people in the park that just happen to be in the park? And then the next question, of course, comes up, how did they get in the park? So the cars that you're seeing, if you're kind of just watching this going, wow, what are all these cars? What are all these people showing up? Maybe not necessarily the case. This is an area, especially on a day like today, that is going to have a fair amount of traffic on this road. And there was a fair amount of traffic on this road to begin with. But the city of Seattle has made it looking pretty clear that they're going to keep the park closed today. What's going to happen here, because again, this was supposed to start at 6 o'clock and it's about 3:40. So what's going to happen here, come 5:30, 6:30, 7, don't know. And we have other things that we're going to be covering today. And so I'm actually probably getting ready to go to that second spot. Now there's Oregon plates. I guess I can look and see if there's any questions on the other device. Oh, a lot of comments, I can only imagine. And unfortunately, the way that Facebook works, I can't necessarily see all of your comments. Kimberly, I see your question. Has anybody checked the Facebook event page to see if they have updated it? I did look last night, pretty late, and I didn't see any update. Aaron, and that's basically the principle of this, right? And this goes back to my question. Brianna, those are people that are waiting for maybe or maybe not for the fences to open up at this point, and maybe or maybe not to have this event. So, and again, they have no permit. I want to make that really clear to everybody. So if you're just kind of tuning in, first of all, I'm getting ready to wrap up. I'm just reading some of the comments and questions. And first of all, let me start with this. Elizabeth and I had a really good conversation about the unhomed and the homeless issues in general, and what she experienced. She allowed me to use her name, and I thank her for that. It really was a good conversation. I actually may snip that and just have that as something for a replay. It was that good. And there was bipartisan agreement there. I have a feeling Elizabeth's politics don't align with mine, but we were basically in complete agreement. We're live, we're in Seattle, we're at Gasworks Park. There's a religious organization that was planning to have a Christian concert here today. When I say plan, it was, hey, we're putting up this Facebook event, we're doing a Christian concert, and there's nothing you can do about it. Not as in planned, as in they have a permit, work with the city, work with the park departments, and etc. This group held a Christian concert, same group, at Cal Anderson Park, aka what was CHOP, on August 10th. Well over 1,000 people there, nobody wearing masks, multiple complaints from people in the neighborhood, complaints about an event at the park, complaints about noise, etc. And the Parks Department in the city of Seattle, police department just shrugged their shoulders and said, well, there's nothing to do about it. We don't have the resources to do anything about it. So when this plan was announced, there was a lot more kind of hue and outcry. And I say that, outcry is relative about like, well, you've locked down the shelter house at Cal Anderson Park. You're not allowing outreach to the homeless there. You're not allowing mental health, drug aid, alcoholism aid, food, clothing, shelter, outreach, ministry, needle exchange. You're not allowing any of that stuff there, obstinately, because the park is quote unquote closed. You're saying Gasworks Park is closed. So what are you going to do about it? And again, here we have a couple of other people that are on the other side of the fence. At least one person, maybe two. So here's another individual that's on the other side of the fence. Park rangers told me anybody that's in the park is trespassing, that's criminal offense. That's what the park rangers had told me. City of Seattle said, hey, in the Parks Department, the park's going to be closed. They announced yesterday that they are going to close and lock the park down because of a large event that was planned there that is not authorized and goes against rules for COVID. And so the city of Seattle didn't exactly do a weak sauce attempt at closing the park down. There is a fence. This is basically the same identical type of fencing that is around the shelter house at Cal Anderson Park. They have put up ecology blocks. By the way, if somebody in the comments could, if anybody knows why they're called ecology blocks, I would love to know. But they put up ecology blocks. They have multiple parks closed sign, and there are multiple rangers, park rangers. I don't know if you can see the lights blinking. That's a park ranger. And then there are some other people on the other side with light blinking. But at this point, I don't know what they're going to do. So that's kind of what the story is here. I'm going to look for your comments real quick. I didn't see anybody jump the fence, Dean. I see your question there. And I haven't seen anybody jump the fence. So I don't think that's the case. I do know, I saw 3 people come out of the park on the corner of the fence, and as soon as they appeared, park ranger was just right there, moved the fence, secured it a little better, and moved their vehicle to prevent any more people coming in from that point. I'm going to see, I can't see everybody's comments on why they're called, so thank you for letting me know. Philip, thank you for the answer. I'm not probably going to be able to see your answer until tonight, but I'm glad that somebody here has said, Philip has answered this multiple times. Patrick, on construction sites, they hold back hillsides. Thank you. That's why they're called ecology blocks. Spencer. Yes, there was a stream. Future Crystals streamed almost that entire event. And then I know Rebellion Baby came down and did a little bit of it. So thank you for answering the question. And again, I can't see everybody's responses. That's the way that Facebook works. Now the group that was along the fence is leaving en masse. So at this point, I don't know what to tell you. There continues to be a couple of people that are on the other side. There was an individual who claimed that there's some fellowship going. It's interesting. I'm seeing a lot of familiar faces now in the mainstream media and local affiliates that are popping up now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to shut down the stream, and I'm going to go to my next location. So thank you for explaining what ecology blocks are, and I really appreciate the patience. Again, I can't see everybody's responses. It's a Facebook. You only have it on, this. No, it doesn't matter. If we set it on everything, it still doesn't show everything. It's a Facebook thing, and it's really frustrating. It is what it is. Malcontent out, probably back 90 minutes.